Welcome back, everyone, to another Explainer. Today, we're diving into a really fascinating intersection of two totally different worlds. We're going to see how India's ancient, culturally rich artisan skills are literally colliding head-on with modern global macroeconomic policy. It's this incredible story of heritage meeting raw economic necessity, and honestly, it has massive implications for the entire global workforce.
Okay, so here's our roadmap for today. We'll hit India's rich crafting heritage, check out some masterpieces of the regions, and then dive into the demographic dividend opportunity. After that, we'll look at bridging the skill gap, developing handicraft clusters, and finally, empowering artisans and the economy. Let's get right into it.
Section 1. India's rich crafting heritage.
Just look at the sheer human element here. It's absolutely profound. What we're talking about isn't some modern mechanized assembly line, right? It's a community space. It's where knowledge, technique, and true artistry are passed down, generation by generation, totally hands-on, rather than in formal, rigid factories. It's this incredibly intimate, localized system of production that has literally been humming along for centuries.
But definitely don't mistake this deeply communal process for just a local hobby. Historically, Indian crafts, things like Kashmiri woolen carpets, intricate zari embroidered fabrics, terracotta, and silk, were actually exported to far-off countries across Europe, Africa, and West Asia. They traveled right along the ancient Silk Route. So these crafts have been a cornerstone of global trade for centuries. They've absolutely proven their enduring historical and economic value on the world stage.
Moving on to Section 2, Masterpieces of the Regions.
Now, I love this beautifully evocative quote from Mahatma Gandhi. He noted that Assamese women are born weavers. They weave fairy tales in their cloth. He just perfectly captured the deep, almost magical cultural significance of weaving in Assam. Women there use these domestic backstrap looms to construct fabrics out of the highly valued, unique Muga silk. It's a skill that is just so deeply woven, pun intended, into their social fabric and local economy.
And you have to realize, skill takes so many different forms in India. I mean, it ranges from the delicate, super detailed brushwork of traditional painting all the way to heavy, highly intricate metal carving. It is a staggering variety of highly specialized manual expertise that spans entirely different materials and techniques across the subcontinent. Just to give you a sense of this geographic diversity, let's look at some regional craft masterpieces. We've got Madhubani, which actually means forest of honey, paintings in Bihar. Down in Gujarat, there's Ajrak block printing, a technique with roots tracing all the way back to the ancient Indus Valley civilization. In Karnataka, you'll find these massive rosewood and soapstone carvings for temples. And over in Rajasthan, you have captivating theatrical marionette puppetry. The big takeaway here? These ancient, regionally specific techniques represent an absolute, yet largely untapped economic goldmine.
Section 3. The demographic dividend opportunity. So here is where we zoom out, and the crucial point really comes down to this massive number. 1.3 billion. By the year 2040, it's estimated that the global population aged 65 and above will hit 1.3 billion. Guys, that's more than double the number from 2010. And this rapidly aging global population, it's going to create a massive, severe labor shortage worldwide. The modern economic divide here is just stark. The world's largest Western economies, we're talking Germany, France, the US, are expected to suffer acute shortages of skilled workers because of their aging populations. But meanwhile, India sits on one of the largest labor surpluses in the entire world when it comes to its working age population. That's folks between 15 and 64 years old.
And this brings us to a super vital economic concept, the demographic dividend. This is a really rare 2 to 3 decade window where a country has a significantly higher proportion of working-age population compared to dependents. This low dependency ratio, it provides a massive comparative cost advantage and totally boosts global competitiveness. So for India, this specific moment in time is a tremendous, fleeting opportunity to become a global reservoir of skilled manpower.
All right, Section 4, Bridging the Skill Gap.
Take a second to really absorb this staggering data point. 500 million. To prevent this demographic dividend from turning into a total disaster of mass unemployment, the Indian government actually set an incredibly ambitious skill development mission target. They aim to train 500 million people by 2022. Because let's face it, a swelling workforce is basically useless without the education and recognizable qualifications needed to actually access domestic and global labor market.
So here is where we connect the two threads of our explainer today.
India's facing a dual threat. On one hand, you've got this swelling youth workforce that faces severe unemployment if they remain unskilled. But on the other hand, you have highly skilled rural craftspeople, the very artisans we were just talking about, who are actually declining financially. Why? Because of rising material costs and because they're operating in highly unorganized, scattered structures without any real modern market access.
But the solution actually becomes pretty clear when we look back at our heritage. The traditional, highly developed skills of a handloom weaver, for example, aren't just some relic of the past. They are absolutely crucial to India's economic future. But, and this is a big but, these unorganized skills have to be upgraded. They must be supported with modern infrastructure and properly integrated into global supply chains. If India can organize these traditional artisans, they can seriously help bridge that massive global skill gap.
Let's look at how they're doing that. Section 5. Developing Handicraft Clusters.
Enter the CHCDS, which stands for the Comprehensive Handicrafts Cluster Development Scheme. This is a targeted government policy specifically designed to scale up the infrastructure and production chains in handicraft clusters. Now, a cluster is just a geographical location specializing in specific products, and this scheme targets massive areas with over 10,000 artisans. The ultimate goal? To take these unorganized areas and provide them with world-class infrastructure, modern technology, design centers, and direct market linkages.
Now, I know bureaucratic policy can seem a bit dense, but the process actually works in 3 really clear, digestible steps. First, they do a field survey and a diagnostic study to identify the exact needs and gaps of the artisans. Second, they prepare a detailed project report, a DPR, establishing measurable outcomes, like expected wage increases and export targets. And finally, implementation happens through a special purpose vehicle, or SPV, with a strict timeline of just 3 years to build out all this world-class infrastructure.
Section 6. Empowering Artisans and Economy. This scheme is aiming for a multi-layered impact. Socially, it's all about employment generation and securing way better living standards for these scattered artisans who were struggling financially. Economically, it focuses on generating foreign exchange earnings by pushing for higher unit value exports. And structurally, it's about transforming a historically unorganized sector into globally competitive small and medium enterprises. It's about securing true economies of scale. The whole point of all this? Taking incredible, generational talent, hands that know exactly how to shape, weave, or carve, and giving them world-class infrastructure, proper design centers, and raw material banks. When you do that, you don't just get a local craft. You get standardized, high-value items perfectly ready for a niche global market. You are literally elevating the local artisan directly onto the global stage.
Which brings us to a really fascinating final thought for this explainer. As the Western world faces absolutely unprecedented labor shortages over the coming decades, the solution might not just be in coding boot camps or new tech. Will India's ancient crafts become the actual blueprint for its modern economic rise? It's just wild to think that solving the global skill shortage might actually lie in organizing and preserving some of our oldest human traditions. Definitely something to chew on as you process everything we've covered today. Thanks so much for joining me on this explainer, and keep learning.